If you feel like you need to have 1,000 tools and 100% commission split to agents in order to be competitive, it likely means you're doing something wrong and you're contributing to the race to the bottom. So agents don't use every tool we offer. We know that. And they probably only use a fraction of it, which means that we could probably reduce some of what we have in our offering to agents, which would save a bunch of money, and really focus on the things that are going to actually move the needle and help agents achieve their goals. On the other side of things, the 100% commission split fallacy, we know that not to be true for a whole bunch of reasons. Number one, they would have never joined your company because 100% brokerages have been around forever. So they would have just gone there in the first place. So the reason they joined your company in the first place is because they saw value in what you had to offer, regardless of what the split was, or the split justified. Number two is 25% of real estate agents, according to NAR, are members of a team, meaning that they operate under a team leader and they share leads and commission and whatever with that team leader. What that means is that the agent is going to pay a split to their broker, let's just call it 30%, and then they're going to generally share the remaining 70% with their team leader, which would be effectively a 35% commission split for the agent. I don't know a single brokerage in this country that operates under a 35-65 commission split with real estate agents. Most are starting at 50-50, maybe for a couple of deals, and then it goes up to 60, 70, 80%. And then obviously you've got 100% and remaxes and all that stuff on top of all that. That's number two. Number three is the rise of teamerages. So if you're not familiar with this term, a teamerage is a brokerage that operates like a team. So they share the leads, listings, support, training, all that stuff. And then they take usually a 50-50 split with the agent. Oddly enough, the teamerage model is exactly how real estate was done in this country for decades, probably up until about the 90s, early 2000s, when we had Keller Williams that came on the scene and started pushing things, and Remax following suit and all of that kind of stuff. So we've always had 100% companies, but the needle didn't really start to move until the late 90s, early 2000s. Oddly enough, that teamerage model, that very traditional model, if you will, of a brokerage, is how real estate is practiced around the world. So when we talk about, we need to do things like these other countries, that's the way they do things. Most of the other countries operate on a 50-50 split, maybe 60-40 for a top producing agent. So we know we don't need all the tools. We know we don't need a 100% commission split. So how can we be competitive when we're going up against these companies? So I was working with a brokerage a couple of weeks ago, and they were telling me about how their biggest competitor, who they were losing agents to, was a company that offered a lot less tools and services, but they had recently restructured their compensation plan to mirror the company that I was working with to help them recruit, except that they were about $200 cheaper per transaction. So they said that they were losing agents because of this $200 per transaction difference. And I said, that's crazy because you guys provide at least $200 per transaction of value to your agents, probably closer to $2,000 per transaction. The problem is you're just not communicating it. The agents don't see it. They don't know it's there. They don't understand the value of what they're getting. They forget all of this kind of stuff. So the question becomes then, how do we communicate value? Well, in order to communicate value, we have to, number one, make sure that we're pairing the solution to a problem. So if we look at the recruiting appointment, for example, and if you've gone back and listened to some of the old episodes that we've done of this show, we talk about the recruiting appointment needs to have 5 distinct parts. And they're all equally important for different reasons that we're not going to get into today. But the 5 parts are, number 1, building rapport. Number 2, discovery. Number 3, presentation. Number 4, soliciting objections. And number 5 is close/next steps. So today we're going to focus on the discovery portion, because what we want to do is identify 5 to 7 problems that the prospective agent has or the existing agent has, because this works both recruiting and retention, but identify 5 to 7 problems that they're experiencing, 5 to 7 challenges that we know we have solutions for. And the truth is, you probably have solutions to way more than that, But if you do too much, it becomes confusing, becomes unclear, overwhelming, and the agent's not going to want to come over. So we want to limit it to 5 to 7, which is really where the challenge is. So what we're going to do is ask the agent a series of questions. And the series of questions that we're going to ask is going to start very broad and become more specific. And as we go through that process of asking those questions, if it seems like the thing that we want to propose is not going to be a fit, we stop with that line of questioning and go to the next one. So for example, let's talk about, let's say at your company, you have a tool or a system to capture buyer information when they're standing in front of the listing, right? So you got a for sale sign in front of the house, and there's a little rider on top that says, text 123 to this short code, and you'll get information about the property. The listing agent obviously gets the buyer's information, cell phone, that prospective buyer information. So you sit down with an agent and say, so tell me about listing acquisition. Tell me about buyers, tell me about the market that you're in. Where do you normally sell? Is there a lot of traffic there? Is it a high demand area where people are constantly driving around because they really want to move into that area? And so you can go down a list of questions trying to determine if this tool that you offer would be a fit for that agent. And then at the end, the last question generally is something along the lines of, how many extra listings do you think you could get per year if you had this tool? Or how many extra transactions could you do, or something along those lines, so we can tie a dollar amount to it. Now, if you followed the 5-step process, not to present while you're doing discovery. So we're just going to do discovery, we'll present after, but the last question needs to be, how many deals do you think that you could do, or how many listings do you think you could get? And that will help put a real dollar amount on that tool or on that service. And because the numbers get so big so quick, it doesn't take a whole lot in order to have crazy results. So let's say the average sales price in your area is X. The agent has an average commission of Y of whatever, based on their split, this, that, and the other. The average agent net per transaction for the agent that you're talking to is about $10,000. So if they say, well, I could get an extra 4 listings, which mean I'll probably close 3, that tool is now worth $30,000 a year to that agent. Does the split even matter at this point? No, it doesn't, because by them using this tool, joining your brokerage, using this one tool, they're going to get an extra $30,000 in their pocket. And that's one of 5 to 7 tools that we're going to present to them. And so where people get stuck is, well, I don't know how to pitch the tool. I don't know which questions to ask. Some people know how to do this intrinsically, and it's just part of their makeup, and they just have learned how to do this over the years, and it can be tough to communicate. That said, we have developed a tool that you can use today for free that will help you pitch your products and determine which questions need to be asked to see if it's going to be a fit for that agent or not. So what this means is that with this tool, could you maybe get a couple extra appointments? Could you maybe convert more appointments? And how much is an average agent worth to you per year? The industry numbers are all over the place between 8 and 12,000. Let's just call it 10. So this tool that I'm giving you could easily help you make an extra $50,000, $60,000 next year, but I'm going to give it to you for free, and I'll tell you how it works. So you're going to go to 3datapulse.com, and you're going to find at the bottom a link to Value Prop Delivery System. And you're going to answer a few questions, name of your company, the specific name of the tool, and it's very important that you be specific. So let's say you want to pitch your support. Support is great, but you have to be much more specific with it. So is it mental health support? Is it transaction support? What level of support are we talking about? We need to be very specific. And then all you need to do is describe what it does. The AI that we've trained will take everything from there and will send you a PDF with a list of questions that you can ask, and then a different series of pitches that you can use to pitch the product to the prospective agent. And then you can do this 3, 4, 5, 7 times, and then you've basically got your discovery playbook built for you, custom made just for you. What we want to do is get the intrinsic stuff that you know out of your head into a systemized process that can be repeated, because then you can have multiple people in your company that are all doing recruiting, that are all doing marketing, Because these questions, by the way, make great recruiting emails or subject lines even that you can use. So go to 3datapulse.com, find the link for Value Prop Delivery System, use the tool. After you use it, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you how it works, how it's helped you. My email is philip@3datapulse.com. Super easy to find. Can't forget it. But let me know how it works for you. Until next time.